Okay, so you sent us Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and we've been digging into it.
Yeah, spending some time with the core ideas.
Exactly. Think of this as like a quick download, getting the big takeaways, the stuff that makes you think, without you needing to read the whole book right now. We know you wanted the efficient version.
You're looking for those key mindset shifts Kiyosaki talks about. And really, the book hangs on this contrast between two father figures, right? His poor dad and his rich dad.
Right.
And, it's important to say, he's not really judging them as people. It's more like they're metaphors for completely different ways of approaching money, different philosophies.
Yeah, philosophies, good word.
Yeah.
You've got the poor dad, highly educated, values job security, follows the standard advice.
Conventional path.
Totally. And then the rich dad, more of an entrepreneur, street smart about money, kind of plays a different game.
A very different game.
And Kiyosaki uses their opposing views to show these really crucial differences in how they think about wealth, or maybe for the poor dad, how life works without focusing on wealth creation.
Exactly.
So let's break it down. What are some of those first big ideas that jump out from this contrast?
Well, one of the first things he really hammers home is the need for financial education. It's huge for him.
Okay.
He's got that famous line, it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And it really sets up his argument that, regular school, it teaches us a lot, but it kind of misses the boat on practical money skills.
Like day-to-day financial literacy.
Right. How money actually works, how it can grow, how debt can be this massive weight, or sometimes maybe a tool if you know what you're doing. We don't really learn that stuff systematically.
No, definitely not in most standard curriculums.
Yeah.
And that ties right into one of the absolute core concepts, maybe the most famous part of the book.
Yeah.
Assets versus liability.
Oh, absolutely fundamental.
Because most of us, you hear asset, you probably think, I don't know, your house, your car.
The common perception.
But Kiyosaki throws a wrench in that, doesn't he?
He really does. His definitions are super simple, actually. An asset puts money in your pocket.
Okay.
Like investments that pay dividends, or maybe a rental property bringing in rent, royalties from a book, stuff that generates income.
Gotcha. Income generating.
And liabilities. They take money out of your pocket.
What?
So that mortgage on the house you live in, your car payment, credit card debt.
So under his definition, my main home is actually a liability.
Generally, yeah, because it's costing you money each month. Mortgage, taxes, insurance, repairs. It's not putting money in your pocket.
Wow, that's a big mental shift right there.
It is. And it's crucial because he argues the wealthy focus on acquiring assets, things that make them money, while others often end up buying things they think are assets, like a bigger house or a fancier car, which are really liabilities, draining their cash flow.
It forces you to look at something like homeownership through a purely financial lens, which is different. It's not just about the emotional side or the American dream aspect. Is it making you money or costing you money? That's his bottom line.
That's the question he keeps asking.
Okay, so from there, he talks about this idea that the rich don't work for money, which again, sounds kind of backward at first listen. What's he getting at?
Yeah, it definitely grabs your attention. What he means is shifting from trading your hours directly for a paycheck.
The typical job.
Right. Shifting from that to building systems.
Yeah.
Things like businesses or investments that make money whether you're actively working at that moment or not.
Okay. Like passive income stream.
Exactly. He pushes this idea. Work to learn. Don't be addicted to money. Work to acquire financial intelligence. The goal isn't just the paycheck itself.
It's learning how to make money work for you.
Precisely. So that might mean starting a side business, learning about stocks, getting into real estate, moving your mindset from just being an employee to thinking like an investor or a business owner.
Creating income streams that aren't tied one-to-one with your time. Okay. And that links to another point he makes. Mind your own business. Now, someone listening might think, great, I've already got a job, now I need to start a whole other business. How does that actually work? Is it that drastic?
No, not necessarily that drastic, especially not overnight. The nuance is that minding your own business is more about focusing your energy, maybe your spare time, on building your own financial base, your own assets.
So not just relying 100% on your employer for everything.
Exactly. He says, financial struggle is often the result of people working all their lives for someone else. It's about dedicating some effort to your financial future outside of your main job. Could be a small online store, learning to invest, flipping things. whatever builds your asset column.
Right, diversifying where your security comes from.
Yeah.
And that leads pretty naturally into the idea of entrepreneurship itself, which is obviously big for him, given that Rich Dad was an entrepreneur.
It's definitely a major theme.
What's his main argument for why that path is so powerful?
Well, he points out how the system, the economic system, can often be set up to favor business owners and investors.
How so? Like taxes.
Yeah, he talks about potential tax advantages, ways businesses can deduct expenses that employees can't. Plus, the ability to leverage other people's time, other people's money. He argues that even running a small business teaches you so much about money, sales, systems, lessons you might not get just being an employee.
Okay, that makes sense. But look, all this talk of starting businesses, investing, taking control, it sounds great, but for a lot of people, the big blocker is just fear.
Oh, absolutely. Fear is huge.
Fear of failing, losing money, looking stupid, stepping outside that comfort zone of a regular paycheck. How does the book handle that?
He tackles it head on, actually. It's a really key psychological point. He says something like, the primary difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they manage fear.
So it's not that they aren't afraid.
No, not at all. Everyone feels fear. It's about how you react to it. Do you let it paralyze you, or do you acknowledge it and take calculated risks anyway?
Calculated risks, okay.
Yeah, he really pushes reframing failure. It's not the end of the world. It's a learning opportunity. You make a mistake in business or investing, you learn something, you adjust. He argues that inaction, just staying put because you're afraid, can actually be the riskiest move in the long run.
That's a powerful reframe. Learn from it, don't let it stop you. I also remember him talking about working to learn, not just to earn. That seems really relevant today, with careers changing so fast.
Super relevant. His advice, especially early in your career, is to maybe prioritize jobs that teach you valuable skills, even if the starting salary isn't the absolute highest.
What kind of skills?
Things like sales, marketing, communication, leadership, understanding financial statements, skills that are transferable that will help you build your own business or make better investments down the road.
So think long-term skill acquisition over short-term paycheck maximization sometimes.
Exactly. Those skills can ultimately open up way more opportunities than just chasing the highest immediate salary in a role where you might not learn as much.
Right. And then to kind of pull these income ideas together, he introduces his cash flow quadrant concept.
Right.
He gets deeper into it in another book, but the seeds are here. Can you give us the quick version?
Sure. It's basically a model to understand where income comes from. He divides it into 4 quadrants: E for employee, S for self-employed or small business owner.
Okay, the left side.
Right. That's typically where you trade your time for money. Then there's the right side. B for business owner with systems and employees, and I for investor.
And the goal is?
The underlying message in Rich Dad, Poor Dad is really encouraging people to think about moving from the left side, E and S, towards the right side, B and I,
Right.
where you build systems and have assets working for you rather than just relying on your own labor.
Got it. ESBI. A framework for thinking about income sources.
Okay.
So, okay, we've covered these core ideas. The book's been out for a while now, first published in the late 90s, I think.
Oh, for 2 decades, yeah.
How relevant is all this stuff today with, the gig economy, inflation worries, maybe less job security than people used to feel? Does it still hold up?
It's interesting. In many ways, the core messages feel almost more relevant now.
Really? How so?
Well, think about it. The emphasis on multiple income streams, side hustles, not being totally reliant on one employer, that resonates hugely today when traditional jobs feel less secure for many.
True. The rise of the side hustle.
Exactly. And his warnings about lifestyle inflation, earning more just to spend more, that's super timely with current economic pressures. The whole idea of building passive income, questioning the old career ladder, it all seems very aligned with how many people, especially younger generations, are thinking about work and finance now.
Yeah.
Technology also makes some of the B and I quadrant stuff potentially more accessible.
That's a great point. But it's not all smooth sailing, right? The book has its critics. What are some of the things listeners should maybe take with a grain of salt or consider critically?
Yeah, definitely important to approach it thoughtfully. One common criticism is that it's pretty light on specific how-to advice. It's big on mindset.
But not a step-by-step financial plan.
Right. It's more inspiration than instruction in many ways. Then there's the whole debate about whether Rich Dad was even a real person.
Ah, yeah, I've heard that. Some say he might be fictional or a composite.
Exactly. And some people find the risk tolerance he seems to advocate, especially around using debt for investing, to be, pretty aggressive. Maybe not suitable for everyone's situation or comfort level.
Good points. So it's not gospel, it's perspective.
Definitely. You need to read it critically, Take the principles that resonate and figure out how they apply to your life, your risk tolerance, your goals.
Okay, so as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, let's circle back to some key takeaways, those memorable lines or ideas that really stick.
Yeah, there are a few good ones. Winners are not afraid of losing, but losers are. That really hits on the resilience point, doesn't it?
Learning from failure.
And then, pretty blunt, you're only poor if you give up. It emphasizes that building wealth is often a long game, takes perseverance.
Right, not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Definitely not. And maybe the most central one. The single most powerful asset we all have is our mind. Which really loops back to that idea of financial education, continuous learning, and taking control of your thinking.
So it sounds like the book's main value isn't as a detailed roadmap to getting rich,
Probably not.
but more as a spark, a catalyst to maybe fundamentally change how you think about money, work, and building a financial future.
I think that's exactly it. It's designed to shake up conventional thinking, make you question the status quo about finances. It's really a starting point, hopefully, for more learning and more action.
It offers a different lens, for sure.
A different perspective on your financial life.
Okay, well, for you listening, maybe here's something to chew on. How might adopting just one of these shifts, maybe focusing more on acquiring assets that could generate income, or maybe prioritizing learning valuable skills in your next career move, not just the salary? How might even one small shift like that start to reshape your own approach to your financial future?
Yeah, just planting that seed. How could things look different down the line?
Great thought. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Hope this gave you a solid grasp of the main ideas.
Yeah, hopefully useful food for thought as you consider your own financial journey.